Hey guys, just in reference to today's course, I'm going to do a new video so you can see everything, and I'll do two different videos, one for a single crown and then I'll do another one for a full edentulous case bed. So this first one obviously will be I'll do same case as what I did today, so the 4/6, and then also I'm going to do a 2/1 on the front upper anterior, so you can see a lower and an upper. Now, just also in reference to the particular links to watch, so Wally Rene YouTube. So this gentleman here is a person that you want to watch. He's got a whole heap of Romexis videos. You can see them all there. So really good, really knowledgeable. So you can see all of his videos there to do with Romexis, and then also another really good website. So literally just Google Wally Rene YouTube, and then the other ones, Planmeca Fit User Group, Facebook. So this Planmeca Fit User Fit group here. So this one here, Planmeca Fit User Group. So this is also another one with a lot of really helpful information about Romexis. So yeah, those two definitely just, once again, Google's your friend. Planmeca Fit User Group and the Wally Rene of the YouTube. So from in here, so to create a new case, once again, we can go new scan and design. So if you were to use your Emerald down in your, I think it's level 5. As I mentioned, you can do the tooth designing on that one. So for us here, so we're going to basically choose 2/1, crown. I'm going to choose these libraries, but it's neither here nor there. I just need to choose them to be able to do the crown workflow. Scan. Oh, let's turn that on. There we go. So scan. So upper scan and do a quick trim. Eliminate my finger. And now generate model. We can also do a lower to do our planning, to do a crown design. You've got to do upper, lower, and a bite, just so you know. Lower. Just a quick trim. And I'll just fill in some of those details on the buccal surface there. So within the scan, to have the buccal surface, it allows you to do the bite a lot easier. So lower, now bite. So there's one done. Generate model. So on this particular one, the upper didn't get dragged in, so I'll just manually drag it in. So that's relative to how much information you pick up on your buccal surface of a scan. So okay, we'll just click over here, and here's there we go. So that's now locked in. So from here, the next step is plotting out your margin, like what I showed you on the previous one. So margin, now what you do in here, by using your scroll button on the mouse, you push it in and move it. So now what you want to do is you want to hook up the orientation so that you've got lingual, buccal, distal and mesial contact points. So this is essentially looking straight down is your path of insertion for the milling. So once you're happy with that, you can click an orientation, and then we can start tracing our crown margin. So you can edit it if you did want to adjust it to any different positions, like so. Next step, plan. So planning is a simple case of using resize, adjusting it larger, and then you can start to move it around. And rotate. So this doesn't have to be perfect, but essentially the whole idea about this is just to get the tooth in the right, roughly the right position, so that when you do the autogenesis, it's going to give you pretty close to the right positioning of the crown. Okay, so design, and now we just go apply for autogenesis. So it's going to put the crown into the position where it thinks it should be. For us, we don't need to worry too much more than that. You can, if you really wanted to play around, and you can use your rubber tooth, the editing tools, to adjust any parts of the crown that you wanted to. But as I mentioned, it is literally just to see where your implant is going to be coming out of. So it gives you a good idea in terms of, you know, for prosthetics, you know. So mill, just from there, we're just going to go sim, standard. Okay, so that's now generated. So now that that's all done, we can go exit. So that's our workflow for, if you wanted to use the 4 Emerald scanners downstairs, that's your workflow for scanning, designing your crown. So you could, after you've done both the scanning and designing of the crown on those scanners downstairs, you can then highlight your case here. You can export selected models. So we'll just, we'll select them. We'll just go to desktop, prints, we'll save them under here. You'll change it to STL because you want to export your crown and your scan as an STL, and you'd save them to wherever you wanted to here. Once you've saved them, you know, onto your USB stick, then essentially you could take them to level 6 where you can do your implant planning. And then essentially that's your workflow from there. No, okay, so from here now that we've done our scan and design, so we're going to go into 3D. and we can now start doing our 3D. So if you've got your Diacom, you can import in your Diacom just here. Now I do have a Diacom already imported in for this particular case. I believe it's that one, so I'll double click on it. I could be wrong. If I am, then I'll go into a different one. Alright, so this is a particular case. So this is a Diacom. So as I mentioned, so if I go back from 3D to volumes, you would import your Diacom in there, and then essentially after you've imported in your Diacom, and if you did want to import in a scan, you'd import it here, fit model, or you can likewise click up here. So if I go back into that Diacom, give you a good thing. Okay, we'll draw a new one. Okay, so here we go. We've got the blue square here, meaning the blue line. So if you wanted to adjust that blue line, that particular plane, you adjust it along in the blue square. So likewise red. So if you wanted to adjust where the red plane goes through, you're going to adjust it into the middle of your crown, or your empty spot there for the tooth. Now you can, if you wanted to, if this is highlighted, you can zoom in and out. If this is highlighted, you can right click and rotate it around to adjust the position of the scan. Left click is still going to allow you to move it around. So but that gives you an idea if you wanted to rotate the image. There we go. So now you can scroll up and down until you're pretty happy with where this is sitting in relation to the teeth and the bone. So now this is an automatic panoramic curve, but if you wanted to do a manual one, you can literally draw one manually. Once you've drawn one manually, you can hit the edit and you can start to move it around. So after you've drawn your panoramic curve, so the next step, now I will say as well, if you did want to adjust the settings on your scan, you can play around with them here by using up the top there. You can play around and adjust the settings to make it clearer to be able to place your implant so you can see what you're doing better. Okay, so once your panoramic curve's been done, we can go back over here and we're going to choose implant now. So now in terms of if we want to make, I think today from the extra time that I spent there, you can go into your library here. I think you guys are choosing Straumann, so choose Straumann. Let's go SLA active, let's go 3.3. Now you can go fully guided, T-sleeve, so depending on which one you wanted to choose. So I'm going to go this T-sleeve. We may not have enough room for a fully guided sleeve, so we're going to choose 2.1 in this particular setup, add to plan. So right now we can place the implant there, right click and flip. So now you're starting to get an idea of where the implant is, and within this section here you can also click on here, implant centric view. So that's just going to show us the implant from its own view, so it's going to focus on that. If I were to tick that off, so you've got all your different slides here. So if you go into the settings, you can bring the slides closer together, so as you can see there, and then I can rotate this around, so it gives us a better idea of each slide where it is. You can increase the amount of slides there are as well by clicking here, but I think for this particular case it's okay. So from there, once you've started to place your implant, if you wanted to now use your intraoral scan to merge this all into your or if you've got a model, you can scan the model as well. We're going to come up here, so we're going to click Fit Model. So you can also go into this 3D there, go to Volumes, and then it will take you back. So if you've done the scan on your Trios and need to import it in, you'd hit Browse. If you were to have done the scan on the same computer, then you would click Select. So this is the scan here, Prep. Okay. So now that's come in, and now this is our DICOM. So you can adjust the threshold of the amount of scatter and data that there is there. So and let's just orientate this around the right way. So right click if you wanted to click on any teeth. So right click there, and then you come over your DICOM, and we're going to go right click there. Right click, right click, right click, right click. After 3 clicks, it's going to start to merge together. If you're unhappy with that, which you can see it's a little bit out, you can then start to add in some more bits and pieces as well. So let's just, a little bit too much there. So let's click on here, and let's click on there. So it's getting closer now, and that's looking a lot better than what it was before. So you can then go Done. Once again, fine-tune match is going to be ticked for you, and it's going to now merge these two together. Now after this fine-tuning match, we can also bring in our tooth design that we did as well. So now once again, you can do that downstairs on level 5 on the Emerald PCs, because they've got the tooth designing on there. So you can scan in your model, and then you can do what I did earlier, use automatic match. So now our scan is part of the cone beam. So if we wanted to likewise bring in our restoration, we can go select, and we'll choose that. Use existing match, and then that's our crown brought in. I know that didn't work for me earlier today, but that's how it works. So once that's now gone in, you can see this white section through here is our gum. You've got your crown design, and then you've got your sleeve here. So it's important to know that the sleeve is not obviously protruding through. Obviously, if you're raising a flap, it's going to be a different story. But that is going to give you an idea of where the implant's coming up through the design. So you can have a look at that position there, and you'll be like, well, maybe I'll just bring it back just a little bit. So after that implant there's been placed, and you're happy with the position overall of that implant, you can then start to, from here, do your surgical guide. So now surgical guide, after this is all done and you're happy with everything, you click over here on the surgical guide. Now because the crown's already highlighted, we just have to take the crown away. Only one STL can be on there at a time, so to do a surgical guide. So now we're going to look down at our path of insertion, set manually, draw guide area, and we're just going to quickly draw around the guide just here. That'll do us. Okay, and from here, remove sharp and thin edges, preview guide. So the guide's going to start to get created now off that, and then we just need to trim it. If once the guide's been created, it will start to create a strategy, like not a strategy, like a planning guide for you. So you can export the report here, but also once the guide's created, it will come up. So I'll show you that once it's done this time. I didn't show you that one in today's lesson. If you wanted to, you can also adjust, as I mentioned, the 3D printer settings on here. You can also adjust the sleeve settings here, so relative to what sleeve you've chosen. So here we go, so there's that. Now you can go to remove material, right click, make that larger, and now I'm just going to start to trim up some of this area that we don't need. If you need some sort of irrigation, final trim. So that's pretty much our guide done now. So if you, let's, there you go. Now from here, if you wanted to give yourself some stops, you can put a click here, click there, and click there. So now you can see if it's seated down. And the lucky last thing, you can add some bars. Let's just add one here and there. So that gives you a little bit more strength. If you wanted to add, let's reduce that down to 2 mil on this one. Have a good one. All right, so that gives you a little bit more strength through there as well. If you wanted to add text, you can add in some text. Oh. And depending on the size of your guide and the size of your writing there, let's say you could just bring it into position, create. So it's going to create writing on your guide there that as it gets printed out, it's going to be on there. You could put that on any part of the guide if you wanted to as well. So now we're going to hit create guide. I've read the above and agree. And after it's generated here, then it's going to go through and give you your planning, your PDF. You can, if you wanted to, export everything. So if you wanted to send it to someone, you can export everything that you've created here, and then they can print it all off. I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, so if you wanted to export it, so this here, save implant report to file. So let's just go, let's choose virtual implant case. And save. You can change the name and the clinic there as well. So now it's going to put everything in there into your report. So it's going to give you all the information there. You can also, before you did want to print that off, if you wanted to take any snapshots, you'll add it into the report as well. So you've got the ability to take bits and pieces just like that and put it in. So that gives you an idea on a single implant case. If I go back into patients now. So in terms of the difference between your upper and your lower, obviously on your lower you've got to place your the nerve, so you're plotting out the nerve on the lower as well. So likewise, let's go into 3D. So this is a case we did earlier today. So on this particular one here, once again, you could go into up the top here, fit model, and that's where you'd input in your, let's just delete that guide. and we'll delete this implant as well. So, and we'll delete the nerve. So you'll be the crown restoration. Once again, you do your scan, you do your design within that software. By going up here and going fit model, you bring both of them in, or likewise you could go into here, go into volumes, and you could go to fit model there as well. Panoramic curve. So the next step, once again, panoramic curve. It's going to give you an automated panoramic curve, what it thinks it's best. You can, from here, you can start to adjust your slice tool here down if you want to try and get this pretty close to in line with the panoramic curve. You can see as you're slicing down, you can see your nerve, your nerve openings. So, which we're looking for this side over here, I believe. So let's just go something like that. After you've happy with here, once again, if you wanted to adjust this, you can adjust the position of this to give you a better idea of exactly. So that's a pretty good view there. You can see it's following the nerve quite nicely. You can also draw, once again, your panoramic curve. So after you've drawn your panoramic curve, we can now go into 3D, place our implant. So panoramic curve here. So from here, let's move this down. You can see where the nerve opening is right here. So this first line here is going to be this line here. So let's say the clarity of this, if you wanted to sharpen that up, play around with your settings up here. So if you wanted to make it a little bit clearer, to be able to plot out the nerve, you can adjust these settings here. So from here now, we can go OK. That's a little bit clearer for us to see. You're hitting the nerve, and now we can start to left click and plot out the nerve. So once that's plotted out, you can see that's all sorted. We can come into the nerve here, and we can go into the settings and we can enlarge it to fill in that particular nerve canal so that we know that we're well and truly in a safe position now. So after that's done, so the next step is going to be placing our implant. Go into your library, choose Straumann, let's say this little bad boy here, and we're going to go 4.8, not that one, we're going to go a little bit longer, 4.8 at 10. We're going to go T-sleeve once again, and from here we're going to choose 4.6, add plan. Now first thing you're going to choose right there where to click on it. If you hit the nerve, you're going to give that warning there, so you can start to you can see there's a scrolling. I'm scrolling through here at this point in time. Now I am going to go and edit this, bring the slices down a little bit, and you can start to place your implant. So depending on implant type, if it's a tissue-borne implant or tissue level or bone level, so you can start to move it in and around. From all these different positions, you can start to edit everything that you want it to. So you can also see on here as well exactly where your implant's going to be coming out in the restoration that you've designed. Now after all of this is done, the next step is obviously once again doing the guide. So we can go over here. We have to, let's just scroll down. we'll hide the tooth. Choose our guide. And looking at this straight down, we're going to set our path of insertion, which I'm pretty happy with that. Set manually and draw guide area. Just going to draw around and preview guide. Now after this has happened, now we can start to remove some material. So right click, pull it down, make it larger. Let's just draw it down around here. We don't need any of that. So that's our guide created. You can then make this a bit smaller, make sure it's seating correctly. There, and we'll just smooth that off a little bit. So now that that's done, you can add a bar. Strengthen this from there to there. So I don't have any issues for strength. You can add another little bar in there if you wanted to, or if you wanted to add, you could go remove material and give yourself some irrigation. That's getting a bit thin there, so we're just going to add another little bar. Cool, so that will cover it. Okay, once that is done, you can then, add text or whatever. Let's go create guide. I've read above and agree, so here we go. So save guide as STL. So this is where I'm going to save the guide. Done. Cool. You beauty. So that worked. Oh, yep. Save. Create report. Save. Okay. Yeah, sure. And we'll just close out of that. So if you did want to export it, you can go export volume, set single multi-frame DICOM, and you're going to choose essentially original orientation. Now include nerves and implants, include annotations, include fitted models and implant guides. Save it to whatever folder that you wanted to, and then you can save it from there. So that's where you could then save it, send it off via Dropbox to whoever you needed to. So depending on if you didn't do, if you didn't want to have, or if you didn't have fitted models, or you didn't do a guide, then you wouldn't tick that, and then everything else here can get sent off. So, okay, cool, cancel. So that's pretty much all the story with tooth design and implant planning on a single implant case. Hopefully you guys got some more out of that than what today's cases happen to be for you. So, but enjoy. If you have any questions, feel free to call me on 0448 883 785. Thanks guys. Bye.